This conference will now be recorded.
Yep. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, Kumar.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So Kamal, you told one of the property you would like to know. What is it?
Sorry, I missed that again.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. You can check that and let me know. Okay. And I hope you are asking one more property, data sharing type. So see here. Actually, I will explain you that when we go to the cross company data sharing. Okay. Because there is an option called cross company data sharing for few of the tables. Let's say the customer table. Okay, we have a Tata Enterprise. So what does the Tata Enterprise have? Tata Enterprise has Tata Motors, and then Tata Electricity Supplies, and then groceries. Like this, Tata has multiple organizations, and that organizations are grouped into single enterprise. So now, can we share the data of Tata Motors with other Tata organizations which belongs to that enterprise? Yeah, we can do that. Okay, that is the benefit of having cross company data sharing. Let's say you have a data that belongs to one company and there are, let's say, 10 companies, and you want to share the data only between some 2 or 3 companies. Then we will use something called cross company data sharing. Okay, so to use that cross company data sharing, we are going to use the property called data sharing type. Okay, data sharing type. So in this data sharing type, you can see, where is the data sharing? Yeah, here is, this is a main group. If you set this to main group now, obviously this will be disabled. This will be enabled only for if your table is reference or group. Okay, if your table is reference or if your table is group, then only the property will be enabled. Okay, that will contain again the local and then shared. Okay, local and shared. So whether you want to share the data across the multiple companies, you can decide using the property called data sharing type. Okay, so this is about the data sharing type property. Now see here, today we will continue the next step, that is relations. So what are relations? Let's say if you have some 2 or 3 or n number of tables, and between that n number of tables you have the matching data. You have the matching data. Then we will be using something called relations to identify how the data in one table is related to the another table. The data in table A is related to the data in table B, but how they are related, okay, and how they should be related. To define that, we will be using relations. Okay, now I will create one more table, and then I will go to table data model table. I will call this table as AMA customers. Okay, so this is the table where I would like to store the information of the customers. Okay, now again we need to create few entities. Just a second, it is creating the table. And this is my Amazon customers table. And then I don't want to go with all these properties now because already we know that. The next step is we need to create the fields. So what are the fields that customers table can contain. Already we have defined those fields. What are those fields? We have a field called name, mobile number, address, gender. Oh, for gender we need to define a base enum. Okay, let me do that. We don't have the base enum yet. Click on the add button and then new item. Here go to data types, base enum, and let me call this as AMA gender. Click on the add button. It will add a new base enum for us. In the properties, you can see I have the label. I will set it to gender. And then I'm not defining the labels, but please remember, you need to define labels from your end. Is extensible. I'm setting this to true so that if anyone else using this EDT in the base enum in the another model, they should be able to add new values. Okay. Click on the new element, and I will call this element as none. I will call this element as none. And I will create a new element, and I will call this as male. I will call this as male. And this value I will call it as female. And this value I will call it as female. And the third one is none. Done. We are done with creating the other. This is other. Okay. I will create a label called other. Done. We have created one base enum, and which is AMA gender. And do we have any other base enum? No, not here. Okay. The next thing is name, mobile number, address. Let's define the extended data types for them. So for mobile number name, I think we already have it. No, let me create it. Click on the add button, new item, and then let me create a EDT string. And let me call this as Amazon name. Click on the add button. Go to properties. I will set this to 100 characters. Done. And I will call. I will not give any label here because I want to use the same label across the father name, mother name, and if I any place I have something called name, I will use the same field. And then mobile number, address. Okay, let me define a new EDT, new item, and that would be EDT string. I will call this as AMA mobile number. Okay, mobile number we can't define it as int 64 because we will have plus 91 something like that. Okay, plus is a character, so you need to define a string. Add button, and I will set it to, generally it will be 12. I am setting it to 15 characters. The name will be same everywhere, so I will define label as mobile number. Done. And you need to create labels in multiple languages. I am hard coding the stuff as we know about the labels. Okay, next click on the add button, new item, building name, building number, landmark. Okay, now I will take one more return string. I will call this as AMA building name. Okay, I will call this as AMA building name, and then I will set this to some 80 characters or somewhat, whatever it is. Okay, and then I will call it as building name. And then go to Solution Explorer. Again, we need to define the building number, new item, and then edit a string. Okay, because flat number 103, 104, so I need to define it as string. AMA building number. Click on the add button. Done. Now we are done with defining the building number. Go to properties and set it to some 15 characters. That should be enough. And building number. Okay, now people used to ask me, so why you need to define this many EDTs? You can define one EDT and set it to 1000 characters and use it everywhere. Can anyone tell me what makes the difference? In the meantime, I will create the remaining EDTs. I want you to tell me. Okay, credit points I will add integer, landmark I will add string. Okay, in the meantime you can let me know. Now I will call it. Now each and every time I am defining a new EDT. Is that right? It is a string. I can add a one EDT and then I can make it 1000 characters and I can use it everywhere. Is that right? But instead of that, everywhere I am trying to add some number of characters. Why to do that? This is the question that I used to get all the time. Okay, the developers used to ask me, why to define like this? I can define only one EDT and then I will set it to 1000 characters. I will use it everywhere. Is that right?
No, it is not right, because it will reserve some space on memory. Like if you create 1000, so whenever you will define it, like it will reserve the memory on like, I think so. I'm not sure.
Exactly. See here,
Yeah.
if you're defining an EDT, okay, if you say size as 60, it means you want to store 60 characters in it. How many characters? You want to store 60 characters in it. So if you want to store 60 characters, why to reserve the space for 1000 characters? Is that right? So if you're defining an EDT with a specific size, the benefit is that the number of characters that you are storing is less. So obviously the memory consumed by the object or by the data will be less. If the memory consumed by the data is less, obviously it will increase the performance. Got it? So this is why whenever you are trying to work with the extended data types, if you see it will fit only within 15 or 20 characters. You should not use the EDT which has 255 characters, because all the time for each and every value, what will happen? If it is 255 bytes, then if you add 4 rows in it, it will make 1000 bytes, which is 1 KB. Okay, where you need to store 20 into 4, 80 bytes. Where you need to store 80 bytes, you are storing 1 KB. Got it? Remember, memory plays a key role when you are working with the performance. Memory plays a key role. So less amount of memory, what will happen? The data transfer will be faster. Got it? It will the data transfer will be at the highest speed if you have less amount of memory. If you need to download 1 MB, how much time it is going to take? If you need to download 1 GB, how much time it is going to take? This is the difference. Okay, so whenever you are working with Dynamics 365, you need to remember that the EDTs will play a key role, because you would be able to define the size of the EDT. As you define the size of the EDT, if you are taking the exact or the size that is needed, obviously it will improve the performance. Okay, remember. So next, now we are done with all the fields. Now let me
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
1 minute. How can we create one EDT with more characters, and how can we use for different fields like address and building number and name, gender?
Okay, I will show you within a second. Okay, now you will see that. So see here, I have the credit points, and then okay, for gender as well we need to create EDT. Even if it is a base enum, you need to create an extended data type for that. Please remember this, because most of the times I saw that people will not define EDTs for base enums. Okay, for base enum as well you need to define EDT, and I will call it as AMA gender, as it should be. It is in the different folder. It should create. Let me see. Oh, it's not aligned. Good. Okay. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me call it as AMSX. Click on the add button. Here we can define the values. Okay, now let's go to properties. Here you have a property called enum type, and let me set it to AMA gender. Done. This is how you need to do, and you can define the label called gender here. Okay, now let me go to my table. AMA customers, open AMA sex, credit points, building name, building number, landmark, mobile number, name. These are the EDTs. Drag and drop to fields. Now you have the AMA name. Go to properties. Now you see here, Mohammed. Here you can see the property called extended data type. I will create a data type called AMA generic string, and I will change this AMA name to generic string. Okay. So that is how you can use. For each and every EDT, you need to change the EDT to generic string. For each and every field, you need to change it to generic string. Okay, that is how we can do. That is also possible here. And here, this will become. Okay.
Okay.
Next, this is my mobile number. Oh, sorry, mobile number. And then this is landmark. And this is building number. And this is building name. And this is credit points. Now you can see for all the EDTs, you have same set of, sorry, for all the fields, you have same set of properties. Okay, so this is an integer. Let's see. Tax, relation context, related table, minimum read access. You can see all these are the properties that we have. Now if I go to building name, you can see almost all the properties will be similar. Now first one is appearance. So what is appearance? Whether you want to align left or right or center, what is the label you want to add, what would be the string size, whether you want this field to be visible or not, what is the help text, why you are using this field. You can define some good help text. And the behavior properties, allow, edit, whether you want to allow user to update the data inside this table or not. While creating the data, whether you want to allow the user to edit the information or not, whether the field is mandatory or not. If you set this to yes, the user should enter the data at any cost, otherwise it will simply throw the error. Okay, save contents, whether you want to save it or not. Okay, AOS authorization, whether you want to have AOS authorization while inserting data into this particular field. At the field level, you want AOS to authorize the data insertion or updation or deletion. You can set it to yes if you want to do that. Okay, and then configuration key, already we have defined it. Classification, if you want to classify a set of fields into one group, then we can use this asset classification. Here you can add a hard-coded string. Okay, here you can add a hard-coded string. And then country region codes, region context field, we know this. Extended data type, and this is again a new property that you will see here, future class. Okay, if you are using this to define a specific future, for example, I told you about the discount. Okay, at that point we are going to use a future class. Okay, currently we have not defined anything. We will see this again when we define the future class. Okay, whether you want to ignore the EDT relation, remember EDT relations are already obsolete, but in still there are few places where they have used the EDT relations. Maybe in the next version they will be removed. Okay, if you want to ignore the EDT relation, you can set it to yes. E is obsolete, we know this. Minimum read access, whether you want to add the minimum access, read access for this field or not. Okay, and then relation context. So this as well we will see, I will tell you in the next sessions. Okay, how this will be used. Next, tax. See here, this tax is the interesting property, because let's say if you want to search, and you want to get a list of objects for a specific set of future, for that future you can define the tag. If you search on the basis of the tag, it will list out the AOT objects which are relevant to that particular tag, Okay, now for example, let me add a tag here called Amazon. Okay, and let me save this. Now you can see I have a Dynamics 365, find tag references, and here you can type Amazon, enter. It will list out the objects which are related to Amazon. Okay, still we have not built, so tags are not created. Okay, if you want to search on the basis of tags, that would make the search faster, because these tags are indexed. Okay, these tags are indexed. Okay, please remember this. Now we have done with creating all the fields. Now there is one more field that we have not created. What is that field? Address. Okay, so see here, to add that address field, there are number of ways. First way, you can simply right click and add address and attach the ID to it, because you have a EDT called rec ID and you can attach it. The second way is, first of all we will see the second way, and then I will go to the first way. New item, I will create a EDT int64. I will call this as Amazon address foreign key. I'm calling this as Amazon address foreign key. Click on the add button. It has added an extended data type for us. Go to properties, and now we have a property called reference table. Here I will set this to AMA address. This is my reference table property. Okay, I'm not using, okay, let me set some label. Address FK or address foreign key for identification purposes. And I have the table references. I will create a new table reference. I will set the related field here to rec ID. Okay, I will set the related field to rec ID. Now I will go to Solution Explorer. I have the table with name AMA customers. Open. Where is this address foreign key? I will drag and drop this. Oh, what is this? It is asking something. Do you want to create a foreign key relation to the reference table AMA address? See here, whenever you want to create a foreign key, the first preference should be given to the rec ID because rec ID is unique in nature. The first preference should be given to the rec ID. And after that, that's up to you, whatever you want to give. If you are having the string field and you want to give a preference, you can use that string field. Now, select yes button. Now it has added. Go to properties, modify this to address. Okay, modify this to address. Done. Now here you can see the label. Call label as address here. And then if I expand the relations, oh, I got this here. From where I got this? Did I create this? No. From where I got this? From the foreign key relation. So what is the first type of relation? The first type of relation is called foreign key relation. Okay. The first type of relation is called foreign key relation. And when you are working with a foreign key relation, if you are using the rec ID, then you will get the relation automatically. Okay, done. Now here for this relation you can see lot of properties. Okay, the first one is create navigation property methods. Okay, I don't want they are simply use it for the navigation between the data. Okay, if you want to create them, you can set it to yes. Next, use default role names. I want to use the default role name. You can see there will be a role. Okay, currently I have only one relation. Okay, currently I have only one relation, so default role name will be sufficient. Okay, let's say for the same table, if you have some 4 or 5 relations, then you need to define a role name for each of the relation. Okay, but in the current scenario, how many relations do you have? I have only one relation and I have only one table. Then it can use the default role name. Okay, and whether you want to have the validation, yeah, I want system to validate, so I will set validate to yes. Now next, the interesting property is cardinality. So for one record in address table, how many records can be there in customers table? That is what is cardinality. For one record in table A, what are the possible amount of records in table B? So what are the possible amount of records? In address table, I have one record. How many customers can have the same address that belongs to address table? 1, 2, 3, multiple, or it cannot be there. What are the possibilities? Hey,
It should be
please tell
one
me.
only. It should be one only. Yeah, because one customer, like a shipper
Now,
there. Yeah.
let me go to the address table. So you're saying that in one street there will be only one customer.
Oh, okay. No, it's not true.
Okay, so how many can be there? Multiple.
Multiple. Yeah.
Good. Now, if there is a record in the address table, is it guaranteed that there should be record in the customer table?
No.
That means what should be the property here? What should be the cardinality here? What should be the cardinality here?
0 or 1. On what basis I'm saying about that?
Okay. If it is 0 or 1, if it is 0 or 1, you're saying one street, one customer. Either that street will not have the customer.
It should be
0 and
0 more.
more.
Exactly.
0 or
It
more.
should be 0 more. Why it should be 0 more? Because it can have from the address, it has some records. From that, I can use that address or I can use that address in multiple places. Okay. This is what is 0 more. So on basis of this information, we are going to define the cardinality property. Okay. Cardinality property. Remember, frankly speaking, in AX 2012, whenever the developers create the relations, they will never create the cardinality, related table cardinality, all these properties. Okay, because it will not throw any errors even if you don't define them. But in Dynamics 365, if you want to use data entities, these properties are mandatory. If you don't define these properties, when creating the data entity, it will throw error. Okay. Now the next thing is index, rec ID. That's good. Name, it is okay. Entity relationship role, you can define some hard-coded string, the role name here. Now, if you want to have any navigation property method name to be overridden, you can do that. On delete, we will come to this later on. Related table, we have defined
it?
Amazon.
Role?
Yep.
Entity relationship role?
Huh? This is used while working with the data entities. If you want to define the role name for the entity, then we will define it here. This and this one, both are similar. We will define some hard-coded string. Okay, the name here. Next, related table cardinality. So here, customers is the current table. Related table is Amazon address. So now what would be the related table cardinality? Will it be 0, 1 or exactly 1? Think. What can it be?
Again, 0, 1.
If you say 0, 1, if you say 0, 1, what will happen? Even when there is no record in the address table, I want to create the customer. That is what is 0, 1.
It's exactly 1 because one customer should have one address.
Okay, it's not like one customer should have one address.
Or
In
more than
related
one
table,
address.
no. In related table, there should be one record. Then only you can create the customer.
Okay.
Got it? Exactly 1 means in related table, you should have that one record. Then only you would be able to create the customer. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? You would not be able to create the customer. Okay. Address. So what you need to do? If you want to set this address to mandatory, you can set this address to mandatory. Then what it will do? It will throw the error if you do not select the data. Okay. So this is about the first type of relation called foreign key relation. Now it is good. We know now how to define the relation with foreign key and how to add the relation directly using the IDT. It's good. Now, along with this, I want to add one more field here. Click on the add button, new item. I will add one more EDT string. I will call this as Amazon and then customer ID. Okay, because record is a int64 value which is not readable. So I have created a field called Amazon customer ID and I will set the properties number of characters to 20. I want to use number sequence. Okay, I will explain you how to work with number sequence later on. I will show you how to work with it. Okay, currently I want to add this customer ID to the customers table. Done. Okay, and I will go to properties. I will change this to this one and I will call this as customer ID. Done. Okay, now that we have done with creating all the fields and everything in the customers table, and now we know how to create one type of relation, which is a normal relation, foreign key relation. Okay, in the next step, I want to create one more table. Okay, and that table. Okay, let us take this sales table. I want to create a sales table now. Okay, we will see the normal relation here. For other relations, I will create few more tables. No worries. Click on the add button, new item, and then go to data model, and then a table. Let me call this as AMA sales table. And now, what are the fields inside it? I have customer ID, order ID, total amount, status. Okay, and okay, in this status we can add pick, pack, invoice. Okay, if you want to add invite, when you can add ship. Okay, or picked, packed, shipped, invoiced, and the first one would be none. Okay, so create a new base enum. Click on the add button, new item again. Create a data type, call it as base enum, and then I will call it as AMA order status, and then go to properties, set the label order status, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this one is none, this one is none, because by default when the customer is added to the cart, I don't want to set any status. Okay, and the next one is, okay, once the purchase is complete, I want to pick the order. Okay, or if you want to define one more, if you want to see the number of items in the cart, you can add one more element. You can say added to cart. Okay, or items in cart, you can say that. Okay, because in few of the cases what will happen is, for example, book my show. Okay, you will block the tickets. Okay, you will block the tickets, and the tickets will be blocked. Tickets will be blocked, and when they will be released? On failure transaction, or they will give the set amount of time, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then they will release the orders. Similarly, if you want to do that, you can add one more status called items in cart, and then you can block the item. Okay, you can hold the item for some time. Okay, that's up to you. Packed, I will say shipped, and I will set the label as shipped, and I will say the status as invoiced, label as invoiced. Done. Okay, so this is how I have defined the order status, and we need to create one extended data type for this. Click on the add button, new item, and then EDT enum. We need to call this Amazon order status. Good, already we have the enum. Oh, or you can do one more thing. Instead of status, you can rename and you can call it as statuses. Okay, because enum will have multiple values, so you can set it to plural, and EDT can contain only single value, so you can set it to singular order status, and set enum type to AMA order statuses. You can select from the drop down. You can set the label to order status. Save. And what would be the next field? The transactional amount. Now we need to see the next type of field called EDT. Okay, EDT real. Now I will call this as, I am calling it as generic amount, because wherever I have the real data type now, I want to use the same EDT. So I am creating EDT called generic amount, and then we have a format called MST. Okay, for currency. Okay, for currency, we have a format called amount MST. Do you know what is MST? Whoever know AX 2012? Because amount MST means all the time people used to think it's Microsoft standard. MST means more not Microsoft standard. We will call it as monetary standard. Monetary standardization. Okay, for currency, there is a international standard which is defined, and we will call that standard as monetary standardization. Okay, and if you want to use that amount MST, you have a extends property here. You can set it to amount MST. Okay, amount MST. You can define this. And then here you can see in the appearance there are a lot of new properties. The first one is decimal separator. Decimal separator means 1.00, 1 comma 00. What do you need here? Whether dot or comma. Okay, I am setting it to auto. By default it will take comma. Displays negative. Okay, by default it is auto, and if you want to set some displacement across the value, the negative values, you can do that by using this displays negative. Display length, what would be the display length? Okay, format MST, whether you want to use the monetary standardization. I am using monetary standardization, so I will use yes. I am not adding any label here because this is a generic extended data type. Wherever the field I use, I will set the property over there. Number of decimals 2, 3, 4. By default it will be 2 digits after the decimal. If you want to set more in number, you can adjust the number of decimals. Okay, you can set 10, 20, 30, whatever you want, you can set the value here. Okay, but for currency 2 digits will be enough. If you want to rotate the sign, negative and positive, you can rotate the sign by using it. And here show 0, by default it will not show zeros. I will set it to yes to show zeros. Sign display, this is very important. Okay, because this sign display has the significance. Okay, you can see prefixed, suffixed, parenthesis. Okay, means by default you can display the value as -10 or 10 minus, or you can say 10. Okay, because if you see the profit and loss, if you see the profit and loss calculated in a company, they will never display -10. Okay, they will never display -10. They will display in the parenthesis if there is a loss. Okay, because this field indicates what you are going to do. Okay, if you are using this field to calculate the profit and loss, then what you need to do, you need to set parenthesis. If you are using this field for some calculation and then show the value, the amount in negative or positive, then you can use -10 or 10 minus. Okay, it has the significance. Whenever you are defining it in the parenthesis or 10 minus or -10, it has a significance based on the type of the field, based on the business terminology. We are going to define the property here. Okay, now the next step is sign display. I will set it to auto. By default it will show minus, and then 1000 separator. Whether you want to have the apostrophe as the separator, comma as the separator, dot as the separator. Okay, that separator you can define here. I am defining it as auto. Let it be there. Okay, and again this behavior properties, it will be same everywhere. Coming to the presence class, presence indicator allowed, presence method, these were used whenever when we are working with the enterprise portal. Okay, and those methods are used very rarely. Okay, because only in few instances I saw the EP. Okay, whoever the customer is using EP, we will use those methods. Okay, still there are few places those were used, so they were there. Okay, and the next one is data interactor factory class. Okay, by default there is no need to define this, but it has some special significance. The significance is whenever, okay, let me open the front end. Now let me select this and let me go to modules, accounts receivable, all customers. because you have a different type of search coming to the Dynamics 365. Let me show you just a second. Now, can you see this field called filter? By default, if you type something, it will show which field you want to search. Okay. To create this criteria, we will use the data interactor factory. By default, it is defined, but let's say someone is trying to search on the basis of account, and then along with this, you want to add one more field, because sometimes the customer will ask, they will say, oh, this filter is not enough for me because this is always showing only one field. Okay, because in Dynamics 365, sorry, in AX 2012, if you remember, we have a button called Control G. If you press Control G, what will happen? You will get a filter here. Okay, but coming to the Dynamics 365, if you want to do that, you need to select this button, arrow mark, and then you can define multiple filters. Here you can define multiple filters by adding this here. Okay, but if you want to add the different set of filters, or if you want to customize this, then we will use the data interactor factory. Okay, data interactor factory. Okay, it will slow down the performance a bit, but if you want to define that, then we can use data interactor factory. Okay, as the name indicates, it is used to interact with the data and then fetch the information. Okay, now this is about this property. And then the configuration key, again the properties are same, the reference table and everything. Okay, and now you can see number of decimals is extensible. This is again one of the interesting property. Okay, for example, if I go to the standard extended data types, I want to show you one EDT called quantity. Okay, because this is also one of the requirement. Okay, this is also one of the requirement. Number of decimals is decimals extensible, false. My customer requirement is he wants to extend the number of decimals of this one. Let's say, for example, quantity. Okay, but is it possible here? If this number of decimals is extensible is set to false, you can't do that. Whatever we need to do is we need to create a new EDT and then we can assign it to that field. That is the only possible option, please remember. Or you need to raise a ticket with Microsoft to set this property to true. To set this property to true. Okay, done. Now we have done the second one, the generic amount. And if you want to allow the other developers, or I can say in the other models, if you want to get this extended, the decimal places, then you need to set this to true. Okay, remember. Next, this is all about the real type of EDT, and whatever we have is total amount done. Order ID, we will create one more string. Customer ID, we need to use the foreign key. Okay, now you can see here, click on the add button, new item, and we need to create one more EDT string, and we need to call it as order ID. AMA, I will call it as sales ID. This is a type string. Go to properties, set the string size to 20, because I want to define number sequence. If you want to define the number sequence, you can define it here. And then now we are done with the fields. Now see here, I want to tell you one more very interesting thing. Whenever you are working with the extended data types to create the number sequences, don't use that EDT. Don't use that EDT directly in your table field while creating the relation. If you do that, when you press Control N, here as well it will take the number sequence. Okay, because EDT is bound to the number sequence. Okay, the number sequence is bound to the EDT. So if you want to create some type of relation, whatever you need to do is click on the add button, new item, and create a new string. Let me call this as AMA customer ID foreign key, and then use this for foreign key relation. Okay, now go to properties, set the reference table, AMA customers, and then table references, new table reference, related field, customer ID. Done. Save. Okay, now go to the table called AMA sales table, and then add the fields. Order status, is one field, and then customer ID foreign key is second field, and then sales ID is third field. And what else? Okay, order ID we did not create. I need to create one more ADT. No, I have created sales ID. What are the fields? Sales ID, order ID, total amount. That is generic string or generic amount. Sorry. Order status, and then generic amount, and then customer ID foreign key, and then sales ID. Drag and drop this EDTs to the fields, and then now can you say this? Okay, let me delete this again. You might get a doubt. You have dragged and dropped 4 fields. I have done the same thing as I have done for int64 field, but it will not ask. Remember, for normal relations, it is not going to take care of that. Okay, done. Sales ID, done. Generic amount, I will call this as total amount, and this will be my order status. Done. Okay, now I have done with creating the fields. Now the next type of relation is called normal relation. Okay, create a relation, and then you can call it as customer or customers, whatever you want. New normal relation, and in this one set the property called related table, set it to AMA customers, and you can define the relationship cardinality. So now what would be the cardinality? It can be 1 more or 0 more. Okay, because for one customer there can be multiple orders or there cannot be any orders. Because customer, he logged into my environment but he did not bought anything from my website. That means I have the customer but he did not buy anything. The related table cardinality can be exactly 1, because without customer there will be no sales. So here it should be exactly 1. Next, relationship type. This is 1-to-1, so I'm setting it to association. Okay, I will explain you about the relationship types because it will take some time. Let me open this customers, and then here as well I will set this to association. Okay, and I have not defined the indexes and field groups. I want you to define them. Okay, you can do that. That's not a big deal. Please define them. Okay, customers sales table. Here whatever I need to do is I need to set customer ID. I need to set customer ID. Done. So now that we have created tables, now let me rebuild. And in the meantime, please let me know if you have any queries. Because the next topic, if I need to explain, it will take at least 20 or 25 minutes. So I cannot start now. I have more 6 minutes.
So
Yep.
Kumar, there was a field property called save contains.
Where?
The field property actually on tables, field property.
Okay.
Save
Where it is?
contains. Here it is. Behavior. Inside behavior. Save
Inside
contains
behavior.
the
Oh, save contents. Okay.
inside behavior.
This one.
Yeah, the last. Yeah.
Yep. It is just used to define whether you want to save the contents of the field or not.
You
Okay.
meant to say data inside
Yeah.
the field.
Exactly. Save the data or not.
It should be. It should be in, yes by default. I mean system.
It's by default, yes. By
Okay.
default from the system, it will be yes. If you want to
Okay.
explicitly don't want to save the information, then you will set it to no.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you want to write some sort of validations and if you want to update the fields from the code, at that time we will use them. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have one property on EDT form help.
Okay.
in a data section.
Yeah. 1 second. I want to show you the same thing. Just a second. This is what you meant. Okay. So
Yes.
whenever you want to have a lookup, and that lookup you want to get from a form, you want to show the multi-field information, then we will use that form help. Okay. We will create a form, and then we will bind that form here, and then whenever you open the lookup now, it will open that form. For somewhere I found that. 1 second. No. In a few standard it is 1 or 2 I saw that, but it is used very rarely. Okay, that is used for lookups. Whenever you want to create a lookup, and then if you have the information from multiple tables, let's say, okay, you want to add a joins and you want to define the information from multiple tables, at that point we will use that form help. Okay, or if you have a single field and if you want to use it for lookup now, then simply we will use the reference table property. Okay, if you have only single table and if you want to get the information from the table in the lookup, we will use reference table. And if you have multiple fields and you want to show the lookup from the form from multiple tables, then we will use form help to use the lookup. Okay, build got completed successfully. So these are the two different types of relations. One is the foreign key relation and the second one is the normal relation. So there are two more relations called field fixed and related field fixed. We will see them tomorrow, but in the meantime please create these tables. Okay, and one more thing I want to do is I want to add this to the source control. Let me do that.
Hello. I
Yeah.
have one more doubt. While
Yes.
creating foreign key relation, you said we mostly use rec ID. So
Hmm.
for that, primary index should be set to surrogate key. Then only we should be able to set. We are able to use rec ID for foreign key relation.
Not like that. Even if you don't set the primary index to record, even then you would be able to use it. Okay, for example, 1 second, let me check in. Okay, I will do the check in later on, no worries. Let me open this address table. So if you go and see here, what is the primary index? I have set it to surrogate key. Okay, you can try setting the other value. It will work. It should.
Okay.
Because only one thing you need to remember is you need to create the index for rec ID if you want to make the search faster. That is only one thing that you need to remember. Next, any other queries?
What is the difference between data sharing property and save data per company property in table level?
Okay, good question. So see here, if you use the save data per company, okay, it will save the data per company. That is well and good. If you say save data per company to no, the data will be shared across how many companies?
All the companies.
All the
Like
companies.
by
But
default it is
whereas,
yes.
yes, whereas coming to the data sharing type, and it is used for cross company data sharing. If you want to share the data between only two companies, you have 10 companies, but you want to share the data between two companies. Can you use that using save data per company?
No.
Whereas you can do that using the data sharing type and cross company data sharing.
Where you can mention this company specifically for two companies, like this data can be shared only.
Actually, that is other topic. Okay, but let me show you. Okay, in the system administration, you will have the cross company data sharing. Okay, there we need to add the tables. But remember, whenever you want to share the data, you need to use the reference or the group. The table group, 1 second. You have a property at the table level. If you go to the properties, table group, here this should be either reference or group. Then only you would be able to use data sharing type. Otherwise, you would not be able to use that. Okay. If you go to system administration, 1 second, it's loading. In the system administration, you will see that we have a separate screen for that. 1 second, I will show you.
What is the property on the relation? It's called behavior or something.
Didn't get you.
What
What is the
property on the relation? I saw it under the behavior.
1 second? Okay, what is the property?
Create navigation property method.
This I will get you. Okay, I will tell you, because if you want to create the navigation methods, then we will use it. I will show you.
Okay.
Yep.
And I have another question. Probably you have already covered the topic, but I want to know how to import your project into my local VM.
I will show you that. I will show you that tomorrow. Okay, I want to add everything to the TFS. I will show you from TFS how to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, now see here in the modules, if you go to system administration, there should be cross company data sharing. Can you see this? Configure cross company data sharing. So what we will do here is we will add the table and we can add the name of the companies.
Okay.
Okay, here you can add. You can see companies
Okay.
which share the records in these tables. Okay,
Okay.
here you will
Okay.
click on the add button. You can add any number of companies you want. From here we can share it. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Next, any other queries? If there are no queries, I will end session for everyone. Okay, thanks all for the session. Let's meet again tomorrow same time. Thank you all. Bye.